in, in achieving our objectives. You know, in the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna tells Arjuna that a man is unable to achieve his highest level of possibility only because of his focusing on smaller objectives for which the path is very clear to him. Let us not do that. Let us focus on the highest possible achievement and expertise and achieve it. In the last class, we were talking about trigger questions. And as an example, I had given you that how is a dieting or weight reduction, how it can trigger our thought in terms of inventory management. What we will do, my dear friends, is we will start today with going into the breakout room and understanding how, you will have to tell me how you can equate weight reduction to inventory management. Okay, I will divide the group into two, and the two rooms will discuss from this idea of weight reduction, you can learn about inventory management. Is it okay? No answer. Should we start?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And also take a few minutes off to think of how you can create trigger questions to start ideation. Now the breakout rooms are open. Please move into it. You will have 20 minutes to brainstorm and then come back. Mr. Bhavesh, Mr. Jigesh Patel, Mr. Singaraju, please go to the rooms. Mr. Bhavesh, Mr. Jigesh Patel, Mr. Singaraju, Mr. Jigesh Patel and Mr. Singaraju, can you please move into your rooms? Mr. Jigesh Patel and Mr. Singaraju, can you move into your rooms, please? Mr. Jigesh. Mr. Jigesh, please move into your room. Welcome back. So, how was the session?
Excellent, excellent.
Quite
Very-
interesting.
Very interesting, wonderful.
Okay,
Very
now we will.
Interesting after 3 lectures.
Huh?
Interesting after 3 lectures, not going to the technicality or minority or thing, understood the simplicity of the design thinking.
Weight,
Okay.
weight lossing session.
Okay, now let us start with room number 2.
Okay.
Who will tell me, room number 2 will first tell me what were the challenges you faced here, what were the takeaways, and what did you understand from it? Yes, who is room number 2?
Atul Saab.
Sorry, sir. I thought that ours is 3. Just a second.
Yeah,
tell me.
our number 2. Yes.
I'm just sharing the screen, sir.
Yeah.
So the discussion went off immediately. We did not waste any time. We just started with what is required for body, and then we started relating it to the inventory.
Okay.
And I will just read out the points which
So
we did.
what is the takeaway? Peter, what is the takeaway?
So we had actually done some preliminary discussions earlier also. The takeaway is that the examples, sometimes we are thinking from our old mindsets. The moment a fresh question comes in, then we get a chance to look into all those things without our any presumptions or the past things. The example which you gave of the butter slab, that if we think about the problem in the current way only, then we keep thinking the way we're thinking. The moment the situation changes, then our style of thinking changes.
Yes.
Can we please request Mr. Bhavesh to,
Sorry,
use
sorry,
his
sorry, sorry,
microphone?
sorry.
Just mute everyone, please.
Yeah,
So,
sure.
so we gave some other examples also in the preliminary discussion. So can I continue with this?
Yeah.
So the first column is the weight loss and second is the inventory. In both cases, timing is important. What time we have to eat food, what time we eat breakfast, the timing, we should not be eating all the time. Similarly, in case of inventory, the timing of replenishment, that this will come on this date, on this particular day, on certain hours, that is also defined. Just as in weight loss, our amount of calorie intake has to be very regulated. Similarly, the inventory has to be done exactly as per the bill of materials, as per the requirement. Nothing more, nothing less. There should not be any condition of stock out. There should not, when we are even doing weight loss, we will not say ungoverned conditions of no food being there. Similarly, in inventory, we have to ensure that there is some sort of a backup safety stock of it. For weight loss, we have to ensure a balanced diet. Similarly, in inventory, we will have categories defined and procurement is as per the bill of material by each of the categories. In weight loss, we have to ensure our calorie intake minimum and maximum is defined. Minimum is also there, maximum is also there. In inventory also, minimum, maximum levels are there. We also talk about what is the source of calories, source of time, what time do you have to take the food, like fruits in the morning, very light food in the evening. Similarly, in inventory, we follow something called the Kanban system or something similar, MRP system, in which the supplier schedules are set at this quantity, this day, and this supplier will perhaps also supply alternatives, things of that sort. Just as in inventory, in weight loss, we talk about excess obese stock retained in body, which leads to BP, diabetes, and other issues. Similarly, in inventory, we have got obsolete stock, excess of requirement. We could be having problems of inventory holding costs, searching time, etc., and then the excess inventory, like obese weight, has to be shut off. Just as we need audit for we go to a dietitian for inputs, we also go for inventory audits to see whether we are following the right things or not. Just as the dietitian advises us, similarly, the inventory experts, they define whether the stocking norms have to be changed or not. In case of food, we go for alternate food options that instead of A, we can also take B. Similarly, inventory, so that the production doesn't get stopped, we always have some sort of a standby for critical items. That if A is not there, then some alternate bill of material can be there. There are certain days off for weight loss. In our normal, some days like Ekadashi, Navratri, there are 4 sorts of Navratri in the year. We do not take food or we take regulated food during those days. Similarly, inventory, it is mandated that we have a minimum quarterly inventory audit, so that to ensure that the inventory is in our books and our stock in our stores is exactly the same. Just as we do categorization for fats, carbohydrates, proteins, we also do for plastics, metals, norms of category, norms, etc. Several die casting, etc. is there. We have got metrics for our weight loss. What is my body mass index? What is a percentage muscle mass? What is percentage water content? Similarly, we have got inventory. Now we say that okay, this we need 3 days of stock of this or 6 days of stock of this. If it is excess, then it is called red inventory. Then there is expiry prone monitoring. So there are metrics defined. So this is what we discussed. We discussed about DMAC also. We discussed about physical exercise also. But that we were not able to. I was not able to catch up and relate to the inventory part. Anilji, if you want to add, Sumaji, if you want to add, Maheshji, please add. I am done with the notes.
It's pretty comprehensive, Atul.
Can I come?
DMAC is also here. So
Yeah, I
not
just
to worry.
mentioned metrics rather than the DMAC, because lean and DMAC, they are all basically talking about the metrics and the analysis.
Yes, yes.
So I would like to add my own experience. So we used to keep in Delhi. I was controlling water supply, 7 days water in Delhi. So in case of any accident, any disruption occurs, we have always 7 days storage of water in Delhi. So for all Delhi, straight, completely. This is what I want. Similarly, we have some, safety factor for inventory also. In case some strikes are there, some problems are there, some, some things are there. We have something for safety. Thank you.
Thank you. Very, very exhaustive, Atul. Very nice, very, very interesting, and very informative. Yes, we come to room number 1, please.
Yeah, for room number 1, what are the key challenges which we faced? We took about 3 minutes just only to everyone to come to a common understanding, because everyone had a different view of what needs to be done. And the contribution from the group was quite fantastic. And we were moving into the technicalities of, the action plan and things like that. And what were the key takeaways? The key takeaways is keep things as simple as possible without getting into jargons, and have a macro view of things, because we were talking about trigger questions. So that was the takeaways. When you look at the bigger thing, when you look at the bigger issue, you will know you will have a bigger solutions. And when we compare to the weight reduction versus inventory, first we need to get rid of the excess inventory and then like in a body, like some fat needs to be converted to muscle, and some things what need to be get rid of. So that's what we could compare both of them. Now, what were the trigger events for the trigger questions? First one was the ordering pattern, which includes the frequency, the optimum level, and the consumption patterns. And the second one is, what are the preventive measures we take, like to ensure that we don't land up in a similar situation, which should actually be various, like what can be measured can be managed, and what can be managed can be controlled. So, so that principle to be adopted. And the external factors, it's okay, we have taken care of the internal. What about the external factors? Because that has a very big role to play in the inventory management point of view, with the suppliers having more suppliers or ordering patterns and all that also, and the customers, customer demand pattern and things like that. And then another trigger question could be about the lean inventory, like the lean meat for fat reduction. So having the lean management in place, whereby we reduce the non-value added activities and ensure that we don't land up in a similar position for the future. That's from our side.
Thank you. Fantastic. Fantastic input from both of you. And I don't know, knowingly, unknowingly, you people have touched on various very, 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 very important aspects of ideation. Tremendously important aspects of ideation. Ideation is by far the most difficult thing, not just in design thinking, in life itself. Our brain is controlled by what is called heuristics, that is shortcuts. The shortcuts prevents us from thinking. It does not allow us to think outside what it is habituated to. That is why, ideation is so difficult. Before we go into the main aspect of ideation, all the points both the teams have said are correct. One of the things is you must have seen how difficult it is to relate to totally different type of aspects. Because more or less every aspect seems to match the other aspect. And I was hearing, how do we bring exercise into inventory management? That was one of the questions which was being asked. Like this, many questions were asked. One very pertinent point which room number 1 made was that it took us 3 minutes to get onto a common platform as to what we are going to discuss about. In ideation, that is very important. Everybody, running in different direction will not help. So before we enter into systematically seeing how we can ideate, let us see how we can link inventory management to weight reduction. This is only my opinion and this is not gospel. Okay? The way you all have done brainstorming, I also have done a brainstorming, and this is the result of that brainstorming. Let us see that. Number 1, if you want to ensure that you don't put on weight, you need to count calories. So how do you do that in inventory management? Control expenditure on inputs. Number 2, exercise to burn calories. Use up all the inputs, recycle what you have so that excess calories are burned. Number 3, monitor food intake. Control inputs. Number 4, limit intake of certain foods. Save costs by choosing suppliers. Fill up low-calorie food. Find low-cost substitutes. Drink lots of water. Flush out duplicate processes. Join a slimming club. Share ideas and support similar companies. Like this, we can do a number of things so that what you are doing in weight reduction can be transferred to inventory management. The same weight reduction can be taken for office discipline. The same weight reduction can be taken for creativity. You can take it for anything and then try to find out parallels. There are 2 components to this what if in design thinking. What if is the process where you ask questions to find answers to the problem that you are solving. You have studied your customer. You have understood what he wants. You have studied the problem, created the design challenge. That is, you have spelled out the problem statement. Now you have to find solution. The solution comes through 2 aspects. One is brainstorming or ideation, and then you come to concept development. From the ideation, you come to concept development. But brainstorming is extraordinarily difficult. Supposing I were to tell you that go into a breakout room and brainstorm or ideate for a particular problem, say population control. Where will you begin and where will you end? When you have a specific thing in front of you, you find it difficult. That is not just you means I'm not talking about the 14 of you who are here. I'm telling about everybody in general, including me. We find it extremely difficult to break away from the pattern that we are habituated to. So how do we do it? There are 2 components to ideation. The first is you provide the right stimulus to the mind, and then you take a structured approach. Without a structured approach, people will want to say anything and everything. So the first thing you do is create the right stimulus and then the structured approach. Let us see what is this right stimulus. What is this called the trigger question? If there is a single attribute that makes or breaks a brainstorming session, it is the questions used to elicit new ideas from the participants. What question are you going to put to the participants which will make them come up with ideas? These questions are called the trigger questions. Preparing a good brainstorming session. Let me repeat, preparing a good brainstorming session involves the preparation of a portfolio of trigger questions framed in a constructive sequence. One after the other, those questions should follow so that you will be able to take them towards the right thinking. Please understand one thing, this out of the box thinking or blue sky challenges are good to hear, but they get you the results. You have to follow a set pattern. Only then you will be able to reach the correct point of getting the questions. Let me tell you, supposing, let us say, Topley has a challenge in front of it that, a dual working couple got married. That means both the husband and the wife are working. Now, how do they purchase things, manage their household consumables? How do they purchase the consumables like toothpaste and paper towels and bath soaps and other things? How do they purchase it? What is the way they can purchase? What sort of a trigger question is required for it? Can any one of you answer? What sort of a trigger question would you start off with in such a case?
Sir, can you repeat, sir?
Husband and wife both are working. How would they purchase household consumables? What are the various ways they can purchase household consumables?
They go together on weekend or...
Think, Mr. Anil, please think. The secret here is to think. Think, how will, this is a brainstorming we are doing. The question is for a brainstorming, not going and purchasing. The question, the brainstorming is, how would they purchase household consumables? This is a brainstorming that you want to do. How would you do it? Going and purchasing is an action. What question will you ask so that they can start thinking of the various methods they will use? One of the biggest problem is we jump into anything with the first thought that comes into our mind. That is not brainstorming. That can be the biggest hurdle to brainstorming. The motivation we have to jump into saying whatever comes into our mind is the biggest hurdle to brainstorming. Brainstorming is all about patiently creating trigger questions and then addressing it. Yes, Shyam, you raise your hand.
So actually, we will chart out a list what are all lacking in the home.
Again, mistake. I said brainstorming. What trigger question will you ask? Again, you are also making the same mistake, coming with a solution.
Okay.
Brainstorm, ask question. Yes, Vijayji.
So question could be, shall we order online?
Which would be better, to order online or go and purchase? Yes, that can be a trigger question which can be discussed then. So in other words, you see how difficult it is for us to create questions. Yes, Mr. Bhavesh. Yes, Mr. Bhavesh.
How do you want to purchase, online or going to grocery shop?
Okay, that is one
Yes,
question. Just now,
Yes.
Vijayji said.
If the grocery shop, if you are going to purchase offline, that is going to grocery shop, then it will be on a evening time or on a
No,
weekend.
that is continuation of that one trigger question. Give me
Okay.
multiple trigger questions.
Okay.
What each.
Do you have
each one
have
want.
any grocery shop which will deliver?
Again, that is a continuation of that grocery shop and online. Give me different trigger question.
Should we,
What each
should,
one wants.
should we, can I come?
Yeah.
Should we plan for fortnightly or monthly ration?
Okay, that is one way of looking at it. Time, yes. Then,
What each one wants.
okay, preferences. What each one wants. Okay, this can be thought of as a trigger question, but then household consumables are, both will want the same thing. You can have a preference in brand, but toothpaste you have to buy, paper towels you have to buy, bath soap you have to buy, shampoo you have to buy.
Yeah, that is common, and something differently they want. Ladies and
Trigger
gents.
question, which will make them look at alternatives. How do see
Can we-
brainstorming? Just a minute. What is ideation all about?
Brainstorming.
Means what?
Bring ideas.
Generating
Ideas
idea.
like
Number of different ideas.
options. It
Number
cannot
of
be in one single direction.
Alternate options.
Let us say you sit down that I will have 100 ideas. Only then I will stop the brainstorming. So now to create those 100 ideas, what are the different types of trigger questions you can create?
Can we say? Okay,
Yes.
can we say that how could we save say 30% of our month-on-month cost, and at the same time make the whole episode more fun?
Oh, yes, this can be one type of a trigger question. Makes you start thinking in a different line. Okay, let us see. What are the various trigger questions that you can apply? These trigger questions you can apply to any problem. It is not just for this. Okay. Use catalyzing quotes and stories. Make a quote or tell a story and then see how it is tallying with what you want to achieve. For instance, let us say you say a bird in hand is in the bush. A bird in hand is worth 2 in the bush. How does it match my household consumable requirement? Can any one of you give me any ideas? Or you say time and tide, wait for none.
Can you repeat that? Sorry.
Any quote you take, any quote, tell some quote, Mr. Sapre. Tell some quote.
Stitch in time saves 9.
Yes. A stitch in time saves 9. Excellent. How this will work for household consumables?
Basically, make your purchase on time.
Then you will not be overloaded. You will not be understocked or overstocked.
Yeah.
The cash flow will be correct. And you will keep an eye on the inventory. You will be maintaining 0 inventory at home. And then if stitch in time saves 9, both the husband and wife will have to be alert, and whoever observes that they are running out will have to make the purchase. You see how many ideas are coming? Take anything else. Tell a story. One of you tell a story. Just tell a story, any story.
In present era also, there is a happy family.
In present era also, there is a happy family. This is not a story, Vijayji. You tell a story. कहानी बोलिए. आप तो statement कर दीजिए. Now, what I'm trying to tell is that, you see, you can create a trigger question by catalyzing codes or telling a story and then equating what you want to handle with that story and taking out things from it. The second thing you can do is question your assumptions. We do things based upon certain assumptions. We all have unarticulated assumptions about how things are to be done at home, at office, in the society, in our business. These can be the biggest impediments to our doing things and seeing new opportunities. How many of you have heard of the dominant logic, contra logic philosophy? Any of you have heard? Has anyone heard of the dominant logic, contra logic? Okay, it appears you have not. One approach to challenging these rules, questioning your assumption, is applying the dominant and the contra logic. Let us say you have got a restaurant. You are running a restaurant. Physical flows. What are the physical flows? Buy fresh fruit from nearby market. Buy seasonal ingredients. Have a location with a high-end retail storefront. Food prepared to order. Mostly low-wage workers. Food consumed on premises. These are the dominant logic of a restaurant. Am I right or wrong?
Yes, sir.
Huh? Now,
Yes, sir.
what is now use a contra logic to all this. Write one contra logic to it. Fresh food from nearby markets. Don't buy from nearby markets. Don't buy fresh fruit. Buy canned foods from distant market where it is more economical.
Order bulk.
Order bulk. Then seasonal ingredients. If you go in for seasonal ingredients, your menu gets restricted. You will be able to offer only the menu which is based upon the ingredients available here and now. If you go in for non-seasonable ingredients, you can have a 360-degree menu, which can, serve the palate of every type of customer at all times. Location, high-end retail storefront. Today, you see, you have got this cloud kitchen. That is a contra logic. Then food prepared to order. Don't prepare food to order. Have ready-made food and supply it. Now, most of these fast food centers are doing the same thing. Now, mostly low-wage workers. Don't have low-wage workers. Have self-service, but high-wage chef who will be able to produce the best quality of food and give. Food consumed on premises. Instead of food being consumed on premises, what sort of a business is being done by Zomato, Swiggy now by reaching it to the place where the customer is? See, the dominant logic, when challenged, can open up avenues like nobody's business. Whenever you have a subject, write down the dominant logic of it and then challenge it. See what happens. What option you have got. Similarly, information flow. Customer reads the reviews and then takes a decision. What if customer does not read the review? Advertise in regional magazines. You don't go in for regional advertisements. 60%, then you have all these things. 60% walk-in. Now you have 60% reservation, 40% walk-in. There are many places now where 100% is reservation. These stand outside and eat places have no reservations. Any number of people can walk in. Food management software. There are so many restaurants in Singapore which are open throughout the night where there is no food management software at all. People come, whatever is there, they take, they cook, they eat, and they keep going. Can't we do something like that? Financial flows. Pay for the food supplies daily. Don't pay for the food supplies daily. Negotiate on a monthly payment basis. Customer pay after dining. Have a subscription model where the customer pays much before dining. Give him an option of 4 days in a month when he can come and eat whatever he wants. Then pay for food and not for the time. Now there are restaurants which have opened up which charge you for the time and not for the food. The food is free. I think one such restaurant has opened in Bangalore also, if I'm not mistaken. Am I right, Suma?
Not aware of, sir. I'll have to explore now.
There is a
Listen to
restaurant
you.
which has opened in Bangalore also, which charges for the time and not for the food.
I'll definitely explore and come back to you.
Okay. Now, try this dominant logic, contra logic way of brainstorming. Take whatever subject is there, write down all the dominant logic of that subject, and then see what contra logic will work. That is one way of organized brainstorming. Then you have got explore the extremes. Exploring the extreme is a wonderful way. In 1996, digital camera was in fact invented in Kodak. But what did Kodak do? They said, no, there is no scope for it. Why? Because they were the world leaders in films. The management was not in a position to accept it. Just imagine if the management had seriously explored the trigger question, what offering will we provide if 90% of the market shifts to digital photography? If they had asked this question, Kodak would not have gone bankrupt. Suppose, let us say, like, Rajendra Sapreji is now in healthcare. Supposing he were to one day sit down and ask a question, what if doctors are paid not for the service they render in diagnosing and treating, but on health outcomes? What will happen? Consultants are paid for handling problem and suggesting solutions. What if consultants were to start charging for profits and outcome of the implementation of their solution? Explore the extremes and see what comes out. It's a tremendous stimulus. It's a tremendous trigger question to stimulate your thinking and start making you go in that direction. Change who does what. What is the job of a carpenter? To build a furniture. Correct or not? What is the job? What are the job of the bank? The bank teller had the job of dispensing money. Am I right or wrong?
Yes.
But what happened when who does what was changed? Someone asked, what if I don't assemble furnitures? Can anyone of you tell me the outcome of this question? IKEA, the #1 furniture company in the world, where the customer assembles it. What if the banks don't dispense money? Outcome?
ATM machine.
ATM machine. What if the bank does not handle transactions? Outcome?
ATM.
Online.
Net banking.
Net banking, yeah.
You see, when such questions are the what if, you change what the other one person is doing and make the other person do it. Like that, see how you can change. We are so, bogged down in thinking that other person only has to do that we can understand. Many of the most successful innovations came from shifting key roles in the value chain. Many times it has happened. Now, what else is there? Explore technology scenarios. You know, there was a time when the bedsheet in the hotels used to look like this. They were dark floral bedsheets. Do you know why? Can anyone of you tell me why they used to look like this?
Cleanliness, is it?
Because the stains are not visible. The stains are not visible. It was convenient for them to wash so that, you know, the problem was not there. The maintenance issues of the hotel was very less. But what about the customer? Here is where design thinking came. Barry Sternlich, who as CEO of Starwood Hotels, he started thinking, I am keeping a bedsheet which is dark in color with all these floral designs so that the stains will not be seen. Am I the only intelligent man in this world? Are the hoteliers the only intelligent people? Aren't the customers also intelligent? Don't they know that this is the reason why such bedsheets are put? How confident and comfortable will they feel sleeping on a piece of cloth about which cleanliness they are not very sure? Today, my dear friends, you will not see a single floral bedsheet in any hotel. All hotels have white bedsheet only because of this gentleman. Barry's contrarian thinking. He decided, no, if I have to take the extra trouble, I will take, but I will provide a bedsheet to my customer, which will be spot clean and he will feel comfortable and happy sleeping in it. Guest satisfaction scores skyrocketed. They simply skyrocketed, and Starwood Hotels became the #1 hotel chain in Europe and US. That was the effect of one single contrarian question. Are you understanding what I'm telling? Explore the trends. Don't accept it. Challenge it. These are all trigger questions. When you have a topic to discuss, to ideate upon, what is the trend of that topic? Challenge it, explore it. What technology is that topic standing on? Challenge it. Challenge who does what in that topic. Take it to the extreme and see what is available there. What are the assumptions you are going by? Challenge it. Create some stories. Tell a story. The first story which comes in your mind, tell it and see how this topic is aligned with it. Maybe 1 or 2 points you will get. Pretend you are somebody else. What if you are Apple? Or what if you are Google? What if you are Intel? How will you handle it? Let us say you are Richard Branson's Virgin Group of companies. How will you handle it? You could be anybody. Pretend that you are this company and this is the challenge which is there in front of you. And then finally, stand in the future, 5 years down the line. Let us say by handling this problem, you have become tremendously successful. Tremendously successful you have become. How will it look at that time? Then backcast to what you need to do now to reach there. The same way, this is the opposite of future pacing. Future pacing is before taking a decision today, you think how this decision will impact you 5 years down the line. That is future pacing. That is looking at an ecology fit. Backcasting is leave the problem here. Go 5 years down the line. See yourself as successful. What must you have done 5 years back with the problem that you are currently having so that you can be there? Do that and see what comes out of it. future pacing and backcasting are two very, very powerful models for creating a stimulus. Any questions? These are 7 strategies you can use to start an ideation. There are certain rules to ideation. Let us see what those rules are. As I said, one is the right stimulus, the other is being organized. The rules of ideation fall under being organized. Number 1, respect any idea from anybody, don't shoot it down. Number 2, encourage out of the box thinking. Let the person give as many ideas as possible. Number 3, there are no wrong ideas. Number 4, facilitate one conversation at a time. All the people should not talk together. One person should talk, note down everything, then move on to the next person. Express visually, just not verbally. Use pictures to visualize and express it visually. Encourage building on ideas. A person has given an idea, encourage everyone to build on that idea. Focus on quantity, not on quality. As I said, keep a target. The target should be, let us say, I will have 100 ideas before I do anything else. Then go about it in a systematic manner. Note down the 100 ideas. What does ideation mean? Ideation means exploration of lots of, not just taking one idea and going after it and expanding it. No, lots of ideas. There is a time to expand, but first explore lots of ideas. Then decide objectively. The third is ideate from different experience. That means you should have different type of people who will constitute your ideation team. Ideally, ideation teams should be about 4 to 6 people. That is what has been seen is effective. And all the 4 to 6 people should be from different industry with different expertise. And you should have a portfolio of trigger questions. From these 7, based upon the type of topic that you are handling, create trigger questions. Put the trigger questions one by one on the table and get each one of them to talk about that trigger question and its associated ideas on the topic. That way, if there are 6 people, you have got 7 trigger questions, you already have 42 ideas. If each one give you 2 ideas, you will have 84 ideas. Now you have got a good number of ideas to start working on. Once you have done that, what do you do? Can anyone tell me?
Select the most important ones. Prioritize.
Yes, we will come to that. But before that, we create an affinity map. Affinity map looks something like this. So how do you create an affinity map from the various ideas? A lot of information people have given. Lots of information, the ideas have been given. Now, put pieces of information or data on a small post-it. Then create groups, align them. Because you see, each idea may have some valid point in it which will be useful. Our tendency is to take an idea as a whole. That's our tendency, isn't it? Supposing, let us say, Mr. Singaraju has given an idea, there are 5 points in it. We tend to look at all the 5 points collectively as part of the idea. But what if we were to segregate all the 5 points? And then take only those points which are relevant to the topic and create an affinity map and then see what happens. Post in groups based on similarity. Create an affinity map. Let us say there are 10 of us. Each of us has given 2 ideas. So we have got 10 into 2, 20 ideas. Each idea has got 5 points in it. 20 into 500 points we have got. Now take these 100 points as separate pieces of data and start creating groups of similar data points. You keep creating groups till you have around 3 to 10 groups. Based upon the number of data points you have got, you create 3 to 10 groups. Name the clusters. Each group cluster you name separately. Rank the most important cluster in terms of how they are aligned with each other. Create connections between the various clusters. Remember, Mr. Singaraju has given 5 points for a particular idea, and those 5 points are aligned with that idea. When you remove 3 of the points from that and put it in 3 different groups, already an alignment is going to be formed between them. A similarity is going to be formed between them. Now create the connections. Describe what you have synthesized, how you have segregated, and on what basis you have created these groups. Describe it. Focus on translating what you have got. Now you have got, let us say, 3 different groups of 130 data points each. 100 you had, 10 with 2 ideas each, 20 ideas with 5 points, 5 data points each. So you had 100 data points. These 100 data points you have segregated into 3 groups, 3 clusters. So each one will be having around 33 points. How are they aligned? How are they interlinked? What do they translate into? Now you are ready for your concept development. Any questions here?
Can you show the slide 1 actually? Just a recap.
Which one?
The last 2 slides, sir, again. Just the last 2 slides. Yeah, this one and the affinity map, yes.
Affinity map. What does this word affinity means?
The similar points are grouped together.
The affinity means you have got multiple data points.
Yes.
Okay, see, let us say, like, somebody was telling auditing, reducing weight has an element of audit. Tell any point about reducing weight from Mr. Atul.
Eating at certain timings.
Okay. So you see, you should eat at certain timings. You should eat only certain types of food. And you should have a controlled diet. You should eat only certain amount of food. Correct? Now, how many data points are there?
They were about 6.
I can't hear you. Can you please talk loudly?
6.
6 data points. Now you take these 6 data points. You forget the idea, basic idea. You take these 6 data points. These 6 data points are important. Eat in time. Eat correctly. Okay. Eat only the right material. What else is there? You said 6. Eat in time. Eat the right material. Eat the right quantity.
Yeah, we had quantity, timing, type.
Eat the right time. So all these things are now, these things you start putting it here.
Yeah.
Maybe you will have different, clusters. One cluster will be material. One cluster could be time. One cluster could be quality. Like that, you might have different clusters.
Yes.
Now, how are they interlinked? What is the affinity between the one in which only the time is there, the one in which only the quality is there, the one in which the quantity is there, or the one in which type is there. Like this, the various clusters which you have created, how they are linked with each other, and how through this you can create a good idea. Are you understanding what I'm telling?
Yes, sir.
Put the, you segregate it into various data, create groups of the data which have similarity, and then you continue to create the groups based upon that, and you have around 3 to 10 groups. Name those clusters. One will be time cluster chronology, another can be quality, the fourth can be quantity. Then rank the most important clusters. Which cluster do you think is most appropriate for the topic that you are trying to handle? What are the connections between the various clusters, and within the cluster, what is the connection? Describe what you have synthesized, how you have created these clusters, and how you have brought out the insights. And then how do you focus on translating what you have into a concept which will solve your problem? Is it clear, Mr. Rajendra Sapre?
Yes, sir. Absolutely clear.
Huh?
Absolutely quite clear.
Very well explained. Very well.
Okay, now we move on. Now we come concept development. As we saw, you have got on one side brainstorming or ideation, which is convergent or divergent thinking. You see, one of the problems with ideation is what? I'm sure you people all have done ideation, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
What, Atulji, have you all done brainstorming
Yes, sir.
session?
Yes, sir. Several times, sir.
Okay. So what do you do there?
Define the theme, and then everybody puts in, and there is a rule that nobody will object. That this is the way it starts.
Ah.
It does across the levels of the organization.
Across the levels of the organization, ideas are given, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Have you ever broken the idea into data points and mixed it up?
And mix it up.
Yeah. We always take an idea as a full idea.
Yes. Yes.
Correct or not?
Yes, sir.
Then we
Got it.
say, no, this will not work. Why this will not work? This lacuna is that.
Yes.
Why not change that lacuna only and take another data point from another idea and put it there and make it a strong, idea? Do we do that? Do we treat an idea as multiple data points, or we treat multiple data points as one idea?
Multiple data points as one idea.
That is where the failure occurs, number one. Because what happens, everyone, what they do, they will take one particular data point from that idea and attack it. Does that happen or not?
Yes.
But when you are going to be doing this exercise, you are breaking the idea into multiple data points, and then you are bringing the data point, all the good from all the idea, the data points are taken, and then you are constructing a new idea. The second is the concept development, that is the convergent thinking. Now we come to the most dangerous part of, with each step in design thinking becomes easier towards the solution. But unless you have a very clear template, identifying it becomes very problem. The act of choosing the best idea. How will you do that? I'm sure you have all done lots of brainstorming. We will have one more breakout room activity now, where you will tell me, in 2 groups you will be doing this breakout room activity, and you will be telling me what are the various ways that you can go about selecting the best idea out of maybe 50, 100 ideas which you generate in your breakout room. I'm sure you all have a strategy of how to select a good idea.
Yes.
Good. Get ready. I'm going to create the breakout rooms now. All the breakout rooms have been opened. 15 minutes, we will get back and we will discuss how to select the good idea. Mr. Bose? Mr. Bose, can you please go to the breakout room? Yes. Yes, welcome back. So let's hear from room number 1. What was the experience and what are the, methodologies you have decided upon to select the best idea?
Okay, what experience we had as group 1, that when we started, we had many yo-yo ideas from everyone, and different sort of, like it is, some ideas were going deeper into the solutions, and like different people were looking at different perspective. And takeaway was that all the ideas were related to the main objective. So what we thought is the best way is to from the various ideas, select the data points and take the 5 criterias like effectiveness, efficiency, sustainability, relevance, and impact. Based on that, we plot the various ideas into clusters, and then also look into from a point of deployment, impact, and timeline, and select the solution which is best for the existing problem.
Very good. Excellent.
Thank you.
Excellent. Yeah, room number 2.
वो माइंड मैप वाले आपका है.
Yeah. Can I present that from my group? Let me do that.
Yeah.
Let me share my favorite tool. Let's see here. Desktop. Okay. So this is that. Is it? Okay. So this affinity map.
No, it's not visible.
There can be ideas actually.
No, your visual screen is not visible. Yes, now it is visible.
Is it visible?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so this I'm just saying that, okay, this is how the example, I mean, this affinity map looks. Only thing is that it is 90 degrees shifted in orientation. Okay, and then you have got some kind of this cluster to cluster linkage is also possible. Okay, from various places to various places, if at all. Okay, something like from here to here, it may be there or somewhere. Okay, now what we could think of as a process is that create this affinity map. That's what you explained, Arun sir. And after that, you have to prioritize the means analyze and prioritize the cluster by cluster. What actually you think is a better idea or so. And then from each such cluster groups, means you could actually think of choosing the best idea. Means you can actually look at that. Okay, out of, means these are my sub clusters, and out of these ones, which idea looks better? Suppose that this looks better, so keep it aside. And then probably if this has got some linkage over here, so you have to also consider some ideas around this so that you don't miss the important ones. Okay, like that, you could actually choose the ideas, actually focus on the, means within the affinity region, like which are the ideas which are looking good. And depending upon the complexity of the problem, probably there is a point in also, I mean, ranking the things across multiple such clusters. And finally, you have to come across some good ideas, I mean, handful of ideas from the those 100 ideas or whatever, okay, by slicing, dicing the things. And lastly, I think there is a process called as a more systematic process called as a decision analysis and resolution. So where you basically come out with the criteria to evaluate the ideas. Like we can say that, okay, the money required, the timeline required, any other acceptance by so many groups and so on. And can we assign some kind of weights to those individual criteria, and then give rank to, I mean, give numbers to each of the idea that you select across these criteria, and the weighted scoring can actually tell you which ideas seem better. And finally, you have to again wear your blue hat and then look at like whether it is still, I mean, even if you compare by numbers, is it still the good idea to be accepted? Otherwise, you may need to go back to the second, the runner-up and so on. So in a way, this process actually looks like I mean the beauty pageants, how they are actually selecting the world's best contestant. So like region by region, and then somehow you have to find out the best one. But there is no good rule for that. But finally you have to I mean that is the process one follows.
Absolutely, absolutely. Beautiful. Yes, you both are right. You're absolutely right.
Okay, so I will stop sharing.
Yeah. Yes, you see, you have done. Why Rajinder ji?
Yes, Bhaskar.
You see, you have come up with, say, 100 ideas. You have got 100 data points out of maybe 50 ideas. You have taken it, aggregate first by segregation, then you have aggregated and then created ideas. Maybe you have got 20, 25 ideas. Taking the best data points, some of them will fit, some will not. You'll have to make some compromise somewhere, but then you create a few 20, 25 ideas. Now you have the onerous task of deciding which are the ideas you should go with, because you can't do with all the ideas. If only the company you are advising were willing to try out all the ideas, but they will not be. They will say, give me 1 or 2 ideas, which we can take to prototype stage. So now how do you go about it? Yes, Mr. Goswami.
So I want one clarification.
Yeah.
So any idea, whatever you want to generate, it should fulfill your 3 criteria. It should be within your scope, within your timeline, and within your budget. If it doesn't fulfill, that idea will fizzle out, later or soon. So I want to understand, so does it relate to this or no?
101%. You please wait for 5 minutes. Everything will get related. Because, you see, if it doesn't serve your purpose, that is not an idea for this problem at all.
Thank you. Thank you.
And you see, if it is going to take 50 years, none of the people who are working on the idea will be alive. What is the use? See, those are all very fundamental things, Anil ji. वो तो रहेगा ही. When we say इंसान, हम मुर्दे की बात थोड़ी कर रहे हैं, हम तो जिंदा इंसान की बात कर रहे हैं. तो लाइफ उसमें रहना है, ये तो चलता ही होता है. It's understood. See, when we talk about an idea, we are talking about a workable solution within a particular time frame, aligned with the objective that you are working towards.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Now we will see how it works. Idea selection. Number 1, the post-it analysis. What is the post-it analysis? You see, in some point of the session, you will have reached a critical mass of ideas and it will become unproductive to attempt to keep pushing more and more and more for the ideas. What will happen? The same thing will start getting repeated in a different way. So, at one stage you stop, you say, okay, sufficient ideas we have got. Now you focus on pruning. What is the pruning? The pruning is done by the affinity map. You have pruned. This is the convergence stage. You have, separated all the data points, brought all of them together, and you have created a good number of ideas. What do? You write the ideas in various post-it. Post-it notes, those small pieces. You write the ideas and then you circulate it to all the people one by one. Let us say there are 6 people. Or in this platform now there are 14 people. Let us say we have ideas, we have to select. We write down idea number 1, whatever the idea is, very briefly we write down and then circulate it one by one to everyone. Everyone will give their comments and give their observations of the idea. And then you do a mapping of it, what points each of these idea has got, what are the pros and what are the cons as per the people who have gone through that idea, and you take a collective decision on that. This is one way. The second is the 4 category selection. The third is the napkin pitch. We will discuss that. The 4th is the affinity diagram. The 5th is the selection criteria. The 6th is the selection matrix. The 7th is the 6 thinking hats. These are the 7 ways in which you grade. The affinity, this napkin pitch should come after the selection criteria. Anyway, these are all the 7 ways you do it. Let us go by it one by one. In the post-it, this is the post-it method where, you write it and distribute it to everybody and what everyone has written, and then you go through what everyone has written, what amount of vote each of them have got, and then you pick one of them. The next is the 4 categories method. The 4 category method is segregating the ideas into 4 categories. What are those 4 categories? Most rational, that which can be easily implemented. Second, most delightful. It is not just rational, but it is something which you would ideally like to have the solution. The third is, it is an absolute darling of an idea. There could be nothing better than being able to implement it. And the fourth is a long shot. It's very difficult. I remember entering the room and hearing Atulji talk about these in a different way, that which is very easy to implement and that can be done immediately. That is the most rational. Then, it is slightly difficult, but gives better results, most delightful. Very difficult, but will give excellent results if you can find out a method. Absolute darling. Very difficult, and results are also uncertain. That is a long shot. These are the 4 categories. Segregate it into the 4 categories and see next what can be done. Then you come to the selection criteria. What is the selection criteria? The selection criteria is, number 1, does it fit with the people's needs? Is there a demand for this solution among the people? Does it really meet the goals that we have set initially? Check the design brief. Go back to the design brief and check it, whether it is in alignment with it. Because you have come to that stage where you have got within the next 3 shots, you have to take a decision. Does it meet the requirements of our problem statement? Does it answer all the elements of the problem statement? Does it answer to the design criteria, the challenge? Does it answer how might we question in a satisfying way? Questions in a satisfying way. Is it different from what exists to add additional value? Something is existing as a solution. Does it in any way add greater value to it? Do we have access to the budget, like Mr. Anilji was telling, the money part of it? Do we have access to the budget which will be required to implement it? If it is not there, is the technology available or can it be procured? Is it in a scalable condition? Is the current technology available and is it in a scalable condition? Anilji, you have raised your hand, tell me. Anilji, you have raised your hand.
It is old one.
Then
Thank you.
please bring it down. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Then will we be able to roll it out with the available resources? This idea which we have. Can we roll it out with the available resources, or will extra resource be needed? And is that additional resource available? Can it be harnessed? Can we get approval from the decision makers? Is our sponsor agreeable? Talk to your sponsor. Is he agreeable to go ahead with this? From here, you proceed towards the napkin pitch. And then from there, once you pass that, you go on to concept testing. Any questions in this?
No, sir.
Now we come to the napkin pitch. Napkin pitch again goes back to the customer. What is the need we are addressing? What does the customer want? What customer wants this solution which we have come out with? What unmet need does it serve? The napkin pitch should answer that question. That means the solution that we have come out with should answer this question. What customer want this? What unmet need does it serve? Approach. What aspect of capability does this leverage? What is the capability or approach that we have that it leverages? How is it novel? How would it create value? How will our company create a sustainable advantage because of this solution? Because you create a solution, it becomes obsolete within 10 days. What is the use of it? Then again, you'll have to go for the next one. Benefit. How will the customer benefit from this? The earlier need is different, the benefit is different. Which need does it fulfill? And how does it benefit him? How will our company benefit? The customer has benefited. Now the company has to benefit because there is two things, value creation and value capture. Value creation is for the customer. Value capturing is for the company. If the company is not going to capture value, there is no point in the company going ahead with the project for the simple reason the objective of having an enterprise is to make profits. If the company is not going to benefit, then what is the use of the solution? What other parties will benefit? Are there anyone else who is benefiting? This will let you know whether there is any hidden agenda behind this. There are only two people, ideally, who should be benefiting from any sort of a solution. Number one, the customer towards whom the solution is focused. Number two, the organization which is creating the solution. If there is a third party, then there is something else going on. Competition. What firms currently serve this need? You are trying to fulfill a particular need with a solution. Somebody is fulfilling that need. Currently, since you are not fulfilling it, somebody else is fulfilling it in some other way. What firms are currently serving this need? How will they respond to our entry? All these 4 points will have to be covered in the decision of your product. Because if you are going to, when Pearl Harbor was bombed by Japan, which happened to be the precursor for the Hiroshima Nagasaki bombing. If you have seen that movie Tora, 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 has anyone seen the movie Tora, Tora, Tora? Tora, Tora, Tora movie, Tora, Tora, Tora is a Hollywood movie based upon the Pearl Harbor bombing by the Japanese. In Second World War, the turning point was the Pearl Harbor bombing. The Japanese came to US, bombed Pearl Harbor. They bombarded Pearl Harbor and went away. While they are going, the end of the movie shows the commander of that fleet, Japanese fleet, standing on the deck, addressing the audience. That was where it ended. He said, "We have not won the war. We have only succeeded in waking up a sleeping giant." The outcome, the bombing of Hiroshima, Nagasaki, the surrender of Japan, and there began the fall of the Axis forces and the defeat of Germany ultimately. If Pearl Harbor had not been bombed, maybe Hitler and the Axis forces would have won the World War. Similarly, the last point of how the customer, the competitor is going to respond is very important. Very, very important. You have to take that into account. That does not mean you should sacrifice your entire project and say we will not do anything. But you should ensure that you create sufficient, entry barriers or moats around your product and your organization to be able to withstand the onslaught of the competitor when you hit him below the belt. That will bring us next. The napkin pitch will bring us to the selection matrix. Here again, the selection matrix has got two axes. On one axis, you've got impossible to implement and easy to implement. On the other axis, you've got a normal idea and you've got an original idea. Normal idea is what is called the dominant logic idea. Everything that normally we do is a dominant logic, and original idea could possibly be a contrarian idea, a contrarian logic idea. Something which is very moved away from what we normally do. Now, where does your product stand? If it stands between normal idea and easy to implement, or if it stands between impossible to implement and normal idea, there is no point in going with it. Because you are not giving anything of value to the market. Normal idea means everything which is already aligned with the dominant logic only you are giving. And it is impossible to implement. No point in it. Forget it. You have got a normal idea, easy to implement. That is what everyone will do, in which case you are entering into a highly commoditized market. There is nothing extra you are giving to the customer. There is nothing to differentiate you, and you will not be able to withstand. You are entering into a commoditized market, and it is going to spell economic disaster to the company. This is not a solution which should be offered. But that is what most people do in the form of a solution, only to realize that it is not working after some time. The third thing is the wow, easy to implement and an original idea. This is the best possible thing that you can provide. That's why he's given us a wow. Very original and easy to implement. But the disadvantage here is that your competitor will wake up very fast, and this market can very easily slide into a now market by getting commoditized. Because what is easy to implement and original? It's original because you thought of it. Easy to implement because everyone can implement it. You have already thought about it. The moment it goes into the market, your competitor will copy it. And if he has got muscle and technology, financial muscle and technology, he will beat you in your own game by coming up with a more economical version of it and push you into the commoditized market area, into the red ocean. The best is how to do it is the main thing. An original idea, which is impossible to implement, very difficult to implement, this is where the consultant comes in. This is where design thinking comes. If you can create an original idea, which is very difficult to implement, that means you have created a moat around your product and your organization. You have created huge entry barriers, and you will be able to simply smash the competition. Go ahead and do it. That brings us to what wows. The overarching goal of what wows is to express new concepts in ways that showcase the amazing element while you iterate to improve the weaker ones. You see, every solution that you come out with, is going to have some strengths, is going to have some weaknesses. The challenge in front of a design thinker is how to showcase the strengths in a way which is very appealing to the customer, while he purchases time to strengthen the weaker ones. Because as the LinkedIn founder said, if you have waited for a good product, you have already waited too long. He said, if you're not ashamed of having launched a lousy product, then you have waited too long. That means your first product will be very lousy. But as you keep moving forward, you keep on iterating. I remember telling someone that more than 22 different, iPhones have been launched in the last 10 years at the rate of nearly 2.2 iPhones per year. What is Apple doing? This is what it is doing. It is showcasing its amazing qualities while constantly iterating and improving on its weaker ones. And with each issue that comes out, something is strengthened with a lot more left to be strengthened. 22 versions have come out, the latest being iPhone 13. 22 versions have come out, and still there's a huge demand for iPhones. This contains, the what wows contains two stages, the assumption testing and the rapid prototyping. Any questions till now?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Can you go to the previous slide, please? Can you explain or elaborate that how part it?
Huh? The how part?
Yes, yes.
The how is when you have an extremely original idea, but it is very, very difficult to implement. Maybe the technology is not available.
Can you exemplify, please?
Just imagine 10 years back. Today you have got an OLED TV. 10 years back, would that have been possible?
No, sir.
At that time, it would have been a how. Correct or not?
Correct.
Today we are talking about self-driven cars. 10 years back, could you have ever imagined a self-driven car?
No, sir.
It would have been a how at that time. If a design thinker had come up with the idea of a self-driven car, everyone would say, oh, it's impossible. It's a very original idea. The driver need not do anything. He is just to sit down, punch in the destination and lie back. The car will take him there. Is that possible? And it would have been possible 10 years back. It would have been a, how the hell do you think it is possible? Today, can you think of a highway in the sky?
No, sir.
But who knows, 10 years down the line, that might be possible. People are already working on it. Correct or not?
Yes, space travel.
Space car, they are talking about it. They're thinking of it. I read an article yesterday where people are talking about people settling down in Mars and Venus and Jupiter by 2050. Can we even dream of it now? How?
No, sir. And now the question comes over here is that how does it reach to the customer or a decision maker on?
You see, supposing, let us say, a customer comes to you. Okay, it's a very good question. Supposing a customer comes to you, he's an automobile manufacturer. He says, I have been able to create a big automobile which will be as good as a residential, it will have the provisions of an entire house for a family of 6 people. But the only problem it is very big, and I don't know whether it will be able to navigate the streets of the cities. I want you to do something by which I can, come out with an automobile in which people will be able to live. 6 people will be able to live. They don't need a house. Something like a trawler, but in the middle of the city. What would be your solution?
Detachable or foldable parts of the house?
What?
Detachable or foldable part of the house.
Then how will 6 people be inside it? They will have to be inside it, na?
That's true, but
and
no,
it has to travel.
That's true.
It has to travel
is
in the city.
That's true. Not all the times. They should not require to sleep when they travel in the city. Number one. So the sleeping area can be foldable. That is one. That converted sitting area to sleeping area.
Okay, so this is a fantastic idea, isn't it?
Yeah.
Huh? This is a very original idea, isn't it?
Right, sir.
Can you tell me how you will do it?
I think.
Yeah, but can you tell me how you will do it? How can you create a car which is foldable, with engine and living quarters and cooking quarters.
Not the
toilet
entire,
is
not
everything.
the entire vehicle, but the part of it.
But how will you do it? That is where this how comes. You know, it is today, it appears to be impossible. But Mr. Bhavesh, 5 years down the line, you might apply your mind to it and come out with a solution. Are you understanding what I am telling?
Yes, that sniper rifle idea is there, right? Sniper rifle in a smaller bag. Sniper goes to the rooftop and then open it from the bag and then put
He
it in.
assembles it and does it.
That's it.
Correct. You see, when firearms was just invented, the sniper rifle would have been a how area. So how area is something which is very original, which solves a lot of your problems, but you have absolutely no idea of the technology or the methodology of execution at this moment.
But how does this will pinch to the customer? That is what the question is. It
I
may
don't
be,
understand what you're telling.
okay. How does, if I put this idea to the customer, just suppose you are the customer. If I put this idea to you for any idea, right? It is how idea. How do you convince that it will work?
But do you have how to do it? If you don't know, why will you put it to me? You have to give a solution for me. You are being paid to give a solution, not to give an idea which cannot be worked. That is the objective of the exercises, to find out an idea which can be executed. The objective is not to discuss an idea which cannot be executed at this time. It might have future potential. Today, all countries are discussing charging electric automobiles at charge stations. But there is a country which has already designed a way in a particular city, I think it is in Sweden, where electrical automobiles are charged while they are traveling on the road.
Yes, electric highway is there.
Yeah, something like that. So you see, somebody has thought about it, somebody is doing it, people are trying to work out whether it can be done in other places. So you see, this is how the evolution of a product and a technology takes place.
Understood. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Now we come to what wows, that is assumption testing and rapid prototyping. Test your concept. You start with a thought experiment, like, we were doing just now, when we are talking about a house and other things, collapsible. A vehicle which is collapsible, where 6 people can stay and you live there itself without having to have a flat or a house or anything. That is a thought experiment, a hypothetical situation, in which a hypothesis or a principle or a theory, a principle is laid out for the purpose of thinking through its consequences. What do you do here? You create a hypothesis. You assume certain things that people will be able to live like that. And then you test this hypothesis through a thought process. Then you communicate the experience that you have. Say, let us say 6 people are staying in the house, how comfortable it will be. They can all travel. They can go outside the city if there is too much of crowd here and live in peace that night. Then, come back into the city during the daytime and then move towards the market, park it there, do all the shopping and other things, go towards the office, stop there, and the gentleman goes to the office and comes back. The vehicle goes to the school. The children are offloaded. They go to the class, come back. The wife is there in the vehicle. She's cooking and keeping everything ready. So you see, if you go to all the places, there's absolutely no problem anywhere. This is, you are having the hypothesis. This hypothesis you follow, you communicate this experience and create a physical object. You convert that thought experience into a physical object and then give it to the customer for feedback. And then by taking that feedback, you again get back to the thought experiment, do the necessary changes, create further hypothesis, again, you continue this chain. In this chain, the hypothesis testing has got 4 stages. 3 stages. Number 1, the customer. Number 2, the solution, whether the customer will be satisfied with the solution and whether it will be viable for the company. The customer should be satisfied with the solution and the solution should be viable for the company. The viability has again got 4 stages, 4 stages of the hypothesis. Number 1, will the customer buy it at the price that works? Because you see, the product will have a particular price. When you do an analysis of the market, by doing the analysis of a market, by doing some market research, you will arrive at a particular price range, that at this price range, I should be able to service this market. Now, will it be viewed as a value price by the customer? Second, can be created and delivered at the cost that works. Now, you see, the price, let us say, is 100 rupees. Your company has an objective of making a profit of 40% on all the products. So, will it be possible for you to sell it at 100 rupees and make a post-tax profit of 40 rupees on it? Can you execute it? That is very important. Number 3, if it passes 1 and 2, let us assume it has passed the value test, that the customer will buy it at the price the market, we will accept it. Number 2, you can create it at the price at which you will be able to sell it at 100 rupees. Third, if it passes 1 and 2 eventually, can you build a level of volume that makes it worthwhile? Because you see, there will be certain investment of the organization into the infrastructure for creating this product. Is it possible for you to do it? And can you scale it to the volumes? Is it worthwhile pursuing? And finally, can you ensure that the competitors will not enter and copy it easily and kill you? All the 4 viability has to be checked before the prototyping should begin. Number 1, you should be able to produce it at the price at which the customer will buy. Number 2, you should be able to produce it at a price at which you will be able to make reasonable profit. Number 3, you should be able to make it at a price and in sufficient volume for it to be a commercial proposition. Number 4, you should be able to make it and the competitor should not be able to copy it easily. All these 4, if you are able to pass the hypothesis, then you can get into rapid prototyping. Any questions?
Clear, sir.
Yes. Tell me, Atul.
I said clear, sir. It is clear. No question. No question.
Okay.
It is clear. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. It is a creation of visual and sometimes experiential manifestation of concepts. It is an iterative set of activities. Prototyping is not one-off activity, done quickly, aimed at concept generated in the what-if stage into feasible, testable models. Please understand, it is only a model. It need not necessarily be a physical model also. Number 1, start small and simple. Don't go into elaborate prototyping. Prototype should be small, it should be very simple. Number 2, figure out the story that you want to tell. There should always be a story. We will see that now. Number 3, show visually if possible. People understand better. More than 80% of the people are spatially oriented. They understand pictures and spatial orientation better. Let others validate the prototype. You are the maker of the prototype. So you will definitely fall in love with it. You don't validate it. It is the customer or people who are going to use it who have to validate the prototype. And finally, visualize multiple options. What are the various options for the prototypes? There are 5 important aspects to a prototype. Number 1, a prototype need not be physical. People think that building a physical object is a prototype. It is not so. Number 2, prototype can be simulations. You should be able to learn fast and early with the prototype. That means the prototype should have provisions for iteration. Fail early, succeed sooner. Don't wait till a perfect model is created. Rough models, let it go into the market. The customer will tell you what is lacking in it, and you will be able to correct it. Otherwise, you will do things as per your understanding, and you will fall in love with it, and that will become a very big problem. You will not want to change it. You will not listen. You will develop an expertise bias. Find the flaw fast and correct it. As you find the flaw, keep correcting it, releasing the models. Remember, even a company like Apple has released 22 versions in the last 10 years, and they are none the worse because of it. They are the richest company in the world with more revenue reserves than even the United States government. And all because they don't wait for the mistakes to be corrected to release a model. Now what we are going to do is, we are going to work through a prototype. Are you ready?
After small break, please.
Okay, we will take a 5-minute break.
The prototype can be functional and non-functional both. It can also be functional, it can also be non-functional.
What do you mean by functional and non-functional?
So means one is a working, total working model, other is just visual something.
Yes, I told you, the work of prototype need not be physical. If you mean functional by meaning physical, then it need not be. We are going to see a prototype now. On this laptop, we are going to see.
Okay.
So how will it be physical then?
Even Microsoft is releasing the Windows version, giving the beta version.
Yes, they keep on releasing.
The beta version of the new Windows, it will release.
So beta is a different thing. Beta.
Whatever you say,
Beta is very much functional.
and then they keep releasing. You see, Apple is releasing, it's all functional only. It is a physical. Now we are going to see a simulation. We are going to see a story as a prototype. Then you will find a solution for it. We are now going to see how a prototype works, how persona works, how solution is identified. We will see that now. The next, we are at 9:40, 2:43, we will start again. And then we will see, maybe, we will be extending the program today by another 5-10 minutes, maybe. But you will understand how to work through a prototype, non-physical prototype now.
Thank you. Thank you.
You can take a 5 minutes break.
We can have a cup of tea.
Should we start? Is everybody ready? Rajendra ji, you are muted.
Yeah, I'm saying we'll have to wait for a few minutes actually, hardly 3 minutes or so. So
Is it clear, Rajendra ji?
yes,
Hmm?
yes. But now this types of prototypes, I think I'm interested in understanding it more.
Now you will
Because,
understand.
yeah, types of prototypes.
Previous slide, the complete how was all the surprise. Something which seemed impossible with surprise solution, now it is all possible.
Huh?
I'll repeat that. I said, how quadrant earlier. Surprise IoT, it is all possible now.
Okay. Yeah. 4 quadrants. Yeah.
Yes.
That's a very, actually, what you can say, very important concept. Very powerful use of 4 quadrants.
Design thinking is very seamless. Design thinking is very seamless.
Arunji, I have a question for you.
Please.
Generally in presentation, I always prefer not to use PowerPoint or any pictures or things like that, because what happens is the human to human connection is lost. And it enables to connect better with people when you're actually, elaborating the concept you have in mind and things like that. Am I right, wrong, or I want to know your views.
You tell me.
For me, PowerPoint is no, 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 no.
No, I'm telling you, tell me. I am presenting to you.
No, okay.
Is the touch lost?
No, no, it's not.
Why?
आप गुरु है, आपका बारे में बात नहीं कर सकते.
No, Singaraju sir, it is not right. You see, ultimately, person to person connect does what? It has a very big drawback to it. Person to person connect is an explicit form of teaching. You depend a lot upon your physical presence, your ability to judge the audience through your visual stimulus. You make a lot of assumptions moving forward in your interaction with people. These assumptions are based upon your past experience, your belief system, your convictions. They are hugely colored by the glass that you wear. But when you don't see the person, what matters is how you can relate to the intellect of the individual. And the intellect in all of us is basically the same. The subconscious is totally the same. That is why they say, the individual consciousness is connected to the collective consciousness. So if you are able to appeal to collective consciousness, you will be able to appeal to anybody. You see, the proof of the pudding is always in the eating. If you have been bored in my sessions, then what you are telling is true. If you are not bored, then what? Then I think you really need to look into what you are telling.
Because for the audience, when they actually experience the same experience which I'm saying, then the impact will be much greater. Okay, not for the technical, conceptual things like this, but generally, when any training is done or
See, that's how that is how we have been doing things. So we have accepted that as a way of life. Tell me one thing. Can you think of going out into the street without any clothes on you?
no.
Why? 1,000 years back, you did go. So what has changed between then and now? Excepting that you have learned and developed an acquired habit of wearing clothes. I will give you a simple example. You enter into a house. A male is running naked all over the house, and people are cheering and enjoying it. Is it possible? Huh?
No.
Yes, yes, if the male is 1 year old.
Natural.
See, that is why I purposefully use the word male. I did not use the word child. And with that word male, I totally, what I did was I threw you onto a different track. This mind is like that, Raju sir.
I
Okay,
got a message.
See, it is all how we think that matters. A 1 year old boy running naked in the house is the most delightful thing to see. We keep saying puppy shame, he will keep smiling, feeling shy, and then running. Where will you get such a scene? When my grandson comes every day, I take off his clothes and leave him in the house and then chase him. And my wife keeps screaming. I said, look, enjoy this. This time will not come again.
If possible, take some pictures also.
Sure. I have kept those pictures to show it to him when he has grown up. And I will blackmail him. Do this for me. Otherwise, I will send it to everybody. I am a right royal crook. I do all these things in anticipation of what I want later on. Okay, so should we start? I think everyone has come. Are we ready?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Now I am going to give you a prototype, and you people are going to solve this. Geeta and Ashoka personas, composite characters created to represent important type of customers. They have functional, emotional, personal characteristics shared by people of selected typologies. Personas bring focus to a story, forcing you to tell it through the actions and views of people relevant to your business. Besides the functionally focused criteria of the job that the customer type are trying to accomplish, personas should be used to convey non-functional attributes of customer needs. What makes something desirable for this customer type? What are they trying to achieve on emotional and functional level that presently can't be done? This is the question. What is the question? What makes something desirable for this customer type? That is, what are their intrinsic needs? What are they trying to achieve on an emotional and functional level that presently can't be done, and they are not aware of it? What is it they are trying to achieve? I'm going to tell you a story of maybe 10 or 15 lines. You'll have to find out a solution for it. Are we ready now? Can I start the story?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Geeta is a 34-year-old software engineer living in Bangalore. She has been standing in front of her closet for a while, trying to figure out what to wear tonight. Let me repeat. Geeta is a 34-year-old software engineer. She's living in Bangalore. She's standing in front of her closet, She has been standing there for quite a while, trying to figure out what to wear tonight. In an hour, her boyfriend Ashok is going to pick her up. Ashok is the owner of a chain of luxury hotels. Ashok is owner of a chain of luxury hotels. He is going to pick her up and they are going to see a stand-up comedy show. After that, they will go for a drink at a popular new bar which is open. Then go to dinner at a new cool restaurant where they will meet some friends. What are they going to do? In about an hour, Ashok is going to come, her boyfriend, and going to pick her up. Ashok is the owner of a chain of luxury hotels. They are going to go and see a stand-up comedy show. Then they are going to go to a new bar which has opened and have a drink. And from there, go to a fancy restaurant where they will meet some friends. Geeta, standing in front of the closet, is asking herself very nervously what to wear so that I am not over or underdressed. Ashok is pleased and impressed, and I am comfortable. Her quandary is she wants to wear something which is not, if you have asked, she does not look either overdressed or underdressed. Ashok is pleased and impressed with her dress and how she looks, and she is comfortable. She is confused because all the clothes in her wardrobe look old, and she is not sure if she has not worn them earlier on an outing with Ashok. She is not very sure which of the clothes she has worn on an outing with Ashok, and all of them look old and worn out. And she is desperate to make a good impression. Is this a relatable story?
Very much.
So help them. We go to the breakout room. 2 teams, 15 minutes each. 15 minutes, come out with the solution. What should she do? Solid design thinking problem. Now, you come out with this solution, many girls in Bangalore and other cities will bless you.
Provided it should not be disclosed to our counterparts.
Huh?
It should not be disclosed to our wives.
Don't bring her on the platform then. Otherwise, I will tell her.
She is around only.
Then be very careful. Okay, I am opening the room. Friends, 1, 2, just a minute.
I am having the same story. क्या पहनूं नवरात्रि गरबा?
Yes, please move. Please move, my dear friends. Mahesh ji, Vijay ji, chale jaiye. Vijay ji, please go to your room. Mahesh ji, please go to your room.
So I joined room, but it did not take me there, sir.
Mahesh ji, you are in room number 2.
Sir, I was given room number 1. I joined, but I was not taken there, sir.
Okay. Wait, I'll give you. Now you are in room number 2. Have you got it? Okay, okay, thank you. What happened?
It's taking me again to the main session, sir. Once I enter into the breakout.
Okay, please. I will check it now. You join. Yeah. Yes, friends. So we are back. Room number 1. So how did it go?
Well, dressing a woman is always a confusion.
Entire 5 days clubbed into 2 slides.
Dressing a woman is always a challenge. At the same time, a lot of experiences came out from the people, from Singaraju telling that from the coat the flower will go on to their hairstyle, and they came up with she will wear three-piece dress where for the comedy show she will wear a long coat. From there, for a drink she will remove the long coat, and then for a luxury hotel she will have this one. And Mr. Goswami came up with she will carry a bag and all. But honestly, we were on a confusion trail to understand, should we talk about only the dress or should we build a persona, taking her, she's spending more time near her wardrobe or in front of her wardrobe to select a dress to impress or dress to kill, so that Ashok will never take his eyes off. So how do we build a persona is what the question was. And I started relating to the morning experiment, what we did for Ashok, Rakesh and his wife Priya, or his girlfriend Priya, where the persona building started. When we were arriving there, we had only 60 minutes, and finally we said, we will go ahead with telling that, Atul said, let her wear a jeans and a t-shirt and go. And finally we decided that let her go in whichever dress is comfortable, so that she's dressed to kill. But we have actually, on the other side, we have not built a persona, because in discussing, we took a lot of time whether we have to work on a dress or talk about the dress, or should we start building a persona. There was a confusion there. Correct me, my teammates, if I'm voicing it out right.
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
Yes, room number 2.
Pushpa ma'am, you want to start? I mean, give some idea wherever there is a need, I will fill up.
Okay. For a start, we were just thinking about, we were building more of persona about this Ashok, because he belonged to a chain of luxury hotels. So what would his taste be? When they are going for a comedy show, definitely she cannot expose her dress. Nobody would be looking at her dress. People would be looking more at the comedian. Now, when they are going to a new bar for drinks, there again, they will be focusing on talking to each other. So I don't think dress could make any impression. After that, they are going to a fancy restaurant where they are meeting her friends. They are meeting their friends. Definitely when it's a normal thing. Men don't look more at women's dresses. So what happens is when the friends start appreciating her dress, that's when Ashok is also going to look at her dress and start appreciating. I feel that's where when she needs to simply wear a capri and looking at Ashok's dressing sense. He is actually wearing a coat, a shawl, and a tie. That's a mix and match. It's neither too Western nor too Indian. So what she can also wear is to go to match with him. She can wear a capri, a spaghetti top, and a shawl. This is what we arrived at.
Actually, no, see, this problem is a generic one. That's what I think. Means this is the solution that Pushpa as an expert gave. So what I was thinking is that there could be 2 solutions to this kind of a generic problem, that what to wear at 11th hour. Actually, you have that problem as a Pushpa as a this lady as a persona, Geeta or whatever her name, I forgot. Now, for this Geeta, there can be one possibility is that an expert like Pushpa ma'am could actually start a fashion advisor kind of a service, where quickly the other side, the lady actually asks her, this is the occasion that I'm actually looking at. And then, she could ask that, okay, what all things do you have, or what are your preferences, and give her a quick suggestion out of it. Means this can be a real solution to this generic problem as such. That's what I'm actually thinking about, actually, right, Pushpa ma'am?
Yeah, right.
So that is a category solution than actually a specific advice that you gave, very quickly looking at the solution. But this, a girl who is actually really, has 1 hour to select something would definitely have this as a problem. She may not be able to think through properly at that hour. Okay, that is why this is a service I'm talking about. And the second one I was thinking is more from the point of view that if it is a real occasion to actually select something, okay, in that case, using the modern technologies, one could actually have a store where a variety of choices of dresses will be available. And actually you imagine, you actually use that artificial intelligence kind of a technology to see how you look in the given dress. Okay, and then based upon that, you can make your own judgment. You can even share your this new look to somebody else, or even your fiancé, or whatever the term, and then get a feedback and actually order that kind of a dress only for the evening. Means get it rented, and it could also be running as a service. And nowadays actually you have got like a Zomato kind of a thing. So you get, or Dunzo kind of a service. You can quickly get that dress for you within so much time. So these two kind of solutions could be available, I'm thinking of.
Experience, sir. Men don't look at dresses much unless we tell them, please tell me how do I look.
This kind of an advice, you can actually give it to her over phone actually and get charged for that.
Fantastic.
So there are opposite actually views, but I don't know, sir. You can tell us the answer actually as to what we are expecting over here. Let other team also talk, and then we will discuss.
The answer is, Rajendra Sapre, you have hit the nail on the head. I will show you why. I was really worried that you would not tell this. You know, the first day of the design thinking, what was the first point we discussed? First point we discussed is, don't allow yourself to be red-tailed. When I was there in your room and you were talking about this rent-a dress, I was praying to God that this man should tell it in the final stage, because that is the answer. I'll show you now. The solution which came out is Rent the Runway store, which was created in US. It's over $1 billion profits as of 31st of March 2019. The so-called sharing economy has disrupted industries like Airbnb, Uber, Lyft, Netflix. Now, Rent the Runway. This is a major problem with ladies and gents have all over the world. Their wardrobe is full of old clothes and they don't know what to wear. But here is an opportunity for a subscription model. Monthly, you can get 4 designer dresses, which you can wear and return it back at 1/10 of the price. Do you realize how much more enjoyable your experience will become? Rent a Runway has become a massive success in Europe and USA. Not to be left behind, the same service has been brought by Anju Modi's Lehenga to Mahima Mahajan's Silhouettes by the Bombay-based fashion retail company called the Stylies. Today, this service is available in Mumbai also. Now, what was the mistake people were making? Again, design thinking is customer centricity. You are supposed to solve the problem which Geeta has. Geeta said, what was she thinking? I don't know whether I have worn these earlier or not. That means she doesn't want to wear those dresses. Everything else was a decoy. If she doesn't want to wear the dress, what other solution is there? She has to get a new one. She can't purchase a new one every time she's going out. So the best solution, rent.
Rent.
Rent a runway. So you see, focus. When you
Never
look
knew
at
this,
the persona of these two characters, Geeta, 34, unmarried. She's touching that period of her life after which marriage will not be an option. Boyfriend, rich, very conscious of his standing in society, very conscious of who he's going out with. Both are show-offs. Look at their lifestyle. Stand-up comedy, drink, 5-star hotel, friends. Totally superficial. In this sort of a superficial environment where looks matter, as Suma was telling, the wonderful solution is designer clothes, rent it at a car as a fraction of the cost, return it back, keep moving. What works? Invention is doing something in a novel way. Innovation requires that the invention creates economic value. Innovation is creating economic value. So you have got a learning launch and customer co-creation. A learning launch is an experiment conducted in the marketplace quickly and inexpensively. It forms a bridge. It forms a bridge between customer co-creation and commercial rollout. It is the bridge between customer co-creation and commercial rollout. That means what? Customer co-creation should ultimately lead to commercial rollout. So what are the rules for customer co-creation? What do we mean by customer co-creation? We have been hearing this so much. How do we co-create with a customer? Number one, enroll customers who care about you. Don't go and enroll someone who has got absolutely no idea of what you are, or who doesn't use your product, who doesn't care about you. Here is a customer who should be emotionally attached with you. That means he should care about your product. He should care about you because you have served him very well. Number two, diversity is equivalent to security. In other words, what does it mean? Take a diverse group of customers. Don't select customers from the same segment. You know, when we were talking about customer target segment, we were talking about various personas from that same segment and how they are connected. So collect one persona from each of the segment and then serve them. Take a diverse segment and give the product to them and see what they say. Create a no selling zone. It is very, very, tempting to sell at this stage. Don't do that. Distribute the product for free. Ask them to use it. Do an ethnographic check on them and take back the information on how they feel. See what are the areas which is irritating them. Where do they smile? Which particular step are they skipping? What is it which is confusing them? See overtly and covertly, observe what your customer is doing with it, question him, and then find out what his experience is. Engage one customer at a time. Don't take a crowd of people. In many of these malls, you find people come with a sample and address a crowd of people. Don't do that. Select one at a time and give your full attention, because you need to be able to get the signals correctly. That is very important. So select one customer at a time and approach him and do a test on him. Ask him to use the product and you observe what is happening. Finally, offer a small menu of choices. Don't give a wide menu of choices. Give a small menu, this or that. Here, close-ended questions are very useful because you need an impromptu answer from him. The answer should come from the subconscious. The answer should not be designed by him with a long flow of ifs and buts, which will hide the real motive of the customer inside. So give a very small menu and then take the details from him. This is how you create a customer. This is how you co-create a product with your customer. When there is a learning launch happening, that means the prototype is now ready to go for a commercial rollout. Before it goes out for a commercial rollout, you take a few pieces as samples, go out into the market. Enroll customers who care about you. You have a list of customers who are your regular customers. Pick and choose maybe a percentage of it, 2% or 1% or 0.5% of the customers you select. Ensure that they are diverse in nature. Maybe a small boy, a married woman, a middle-aged lady, an old man, all sorts from that same, segment, different people. Create a no-selling zone. This is not for sales. This is purely for you to understand how the customer is reacting to your product, what suggestions he is giving for improvement, what you would like in the product, what you would like to see in the product, which is not there. Engage them one by one. Don't go and approach them as a group. Engage them one by one and take the feedback from them. And when you ask them questions for which you are looking for an answer, don't give a wide menu of choices. Keep it very short and simple. Yes or no, small choices you give so that his mind will go in that direction. Finally, help the customer to communicate visually. Tell him to draw and explain to you what he means when he says he wants this. If he says, this is the solution I want, I would like to see this, give him a piece of paper and pen and ask him to draw it and show you where you would like that in that object, what sort of a solution you would like, so that it will be easier for you. If it is something to do not with physical thing, but with a software or some other thing, let him explain to you what he means when he wants this change, how he is expecting the user of that software to benefit from that change. What convenience does he expect from it? Let him draw and show to you. Friends, that brings us to the final thing. Customer wants it. The firm can produce it. Economics can sustain it. These are the three things which are very essential in any product development. The customer should want it. The solution should be fulfilling a need of the customer. The firm should be able to produce the solution. And the economics of producing it and selling it to the customer should be sustainable. Unless these things are fulfilled, you cannot move in on the product. This area, which is the cusp between the customer wants it and the firm produces it, is the new product development area. This is where the ideation and concept development takes place. This cusp, the firm can produce it, economics can sustain it, is the minimum viable product. This is the first stage, the prototype stage. This is the minimum viable product. The firm can produce it, economics can sustain it. If the firm cannot produce it, or if the firm can produce and the economics cannot sustain, then there is no point in going ahead with this minimum viable product. And finally, economics can sustain, the customer wants it, is the test marketing stage, which also has in it the stages of learning launch and customer co-creation. Thank you, friends. Now we can all go to the market. Before that, we need to take rest. Design thinking course comes to an end. I'm extremely thankful to you for being so patient. Any questions?
We are thankful to you, sir.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. Please carry on.
So, sir, can I take a moment to talk?
Yes.
I will, yeah, yes, tell me.
So there are multiple design thinking. I'll just take a moment to say this.
Yeah.
You said design thinking course comes to an end. There are multiple design thinking courses in the market, which I would use this, pardon me for using this, which has been used, overused, and abused, where it leaves the person attending or the person who has paid for the DT, the design thinking course, confused, whether it is prototyping, whether it is new product development, or whether it is, GTM, because this is what the design thinking otherwise is making. And I'm not talking because I want to flatter you, not at all. The fact I'm telling, from coming from the startup industry and from the corporate and all those things. But what you have done as a course, design thinking, is you have given all of us who have enrolled templates to go through. And if we follow these checklists, which have happened over the last 2.5 weeks or 5 to 6 days where we have attended, it has simplified the design thinking course. Anyone can follow and anyone can implement it. The ease of implementation, the magic of your fingers, which you have put it for all of us, it is made very, very easy. It only needs practice with more case studies. But otherwise, in comparison to the market which is there, and I say it with 100% conviction, that the outside market and this here, it's incomparable. Incomparable. I can say it with 100% conviction. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Suma, for your kind words. Now, what I will request you all is continue your Saturday huddle meet and internalize the whole process. That is very important, because you see, like Mr. Govindaswamy, he's a manufacturer. Rajendra Sapre, he is having his own company. He's an IoT specialist. Atul Vij is a turnaround artist. Alabo Srinivas is a highly ambitious, upwardly mobile, product manager in the pharma industry. And then Mr. Bhavesh, Mr. Singaraju, all are, highly accomplished people. Now, what is necessary is all of you should be able to, or, Mahesh or Pushpaji in the education industry, you can all use design thinking to great advantage in your respective fields. Design thinking is not restricted only to, product management and other things. No, it's not like that. Design thinking is a problem-solving tool. It can be used anywhere. And, I'm very obliged to Anilji and Vijayji for joining, for the simple reason they want to learn something new. We are all at an age, when being able to use it in a material way we might not have that much of opportunity. But the opportunities for others is enormous. And today, I'm telling you, I'm extremely happy for one single reason. The Rajendra Sapre hit the nail on the head. He couldn't have been more right. So see, that's what design thinking is all about. When you have understood, today many of the things he spoke in those breakout rooms made a lot of sense. But when it came out, he had sacrificed it. So that is the reason, I was worried that he will sacrifice this too. But fortunately, even though he sacrificed it, he came as a, as a voiceover and told them. So the only thing I will tell Mr. Sapre is, remember the first sentence of the design thinking class. Don't allow others to rough ride you. We say that you should have the conviction to even question your boss and say, no, I'm right, let's try this. And oftentimes, in our gentlemanliness, fantastic ideas we let go.
Got it, sir. Thank you.
Design thinking is all about getting a solution. Everything else is secondary. Not that what Pushpaji said is not relevant. She's talking from experience. When she says men don't look at the dresses that women wear, all those things aside, all those things are okay. Women have eternally, I was really worried at one stage, I'm telling you, with due regards to the two ladies here. I was worried that someone will answer like Kushwant Singh. Do you know what Kushwant Singh answered when he was asked, what is the best dress for a woman to wear? If I have the permission of the ladies, I will answer.
Please go ahead, sir. At least I don't worry. Please go ahead.
Please go ahead, sir.
Kushwant
Please go
Singh
ahead.
is supposed to have said the best dress for a woman to wear is just a smile.
Amazing.
Oh,
I was worried. You know, so much of talk was there about what they should dress. And here Geeta was standing in front of the closet, absolutely confused.
oh.
But sir, that comes natural to women, sir. That comes natural to women. It is implicit, sir. It's implicit.
Okay, so you know, it was really a wonderful experience. I will request Suma and Atulji and Rajendraji and others to continue your huddle meet. I'm sure it will go a long way in, you know, internalizing, and it will be definitely helpful. And anytime you all want any sort of a help from me in understanding something in greater detail, I'm sure that, you know, quite a few things you would have to revisit.
Yeah, especially this the prototyping affinity maps, etc. We have not gone through any exercise, bigger exercise yet. So that needs, I think, a little bit more help from you anytime it comes.
Definitely. You know, the affinity map, these are all very easy, I'm telling you. Buy yourself some post-it notes and start the habit of put a whiteboard in your office. You see, design thinking is all about getting your hands dirty. Don't depend upon your mind to support you. Ideas come, write it on the post-it note, stick it on the board. The uglier your office is,
The better.
the
More
more beautiful
more
will your
productive it
product
will
be. You see, people have a penchant to keep a very neat and clean office. You know, what does it signify? It signifies paucity of ideas, zero creativity. Have you seen a child's room? If the child's room is clean, it means parents are a pest. That means the parents are out and out, hell-bent on spoiling the child. Disciplining a child is the worst thing that you can do to him. Then the room should be totally topsy-turvy.
You are on a computer speaker, and my wife is listening to this.
And I'm sure I made an enemy today.
No,
I have an enemy at home.
no,
I have an enemy at your home also.
the words which I cannot tell. You spoke.
You see, I'm telling you, you know, allow the child. You know, it's so creative. It's so nice, so wonderful. And similarly, you know, the more jumbled up your office is, your chamber is, it means the more creative you are. So buy a couple of boards. क्यों अतुल जी सुन रहे हैं कि नहीं?
Yes, I'm listening, sir. I'm listening.
Put a board, buy a bundle of post-it notes, all ideas, write it and keep chipkawing it on the board and aligning it. कि किस idea के साथ क्या मिल रहा है, किस idea के साथ क्या मिल रहा है. I'm telling you, you will get, you know, what happens is we suddenly get a good idea. Then we think, okay, I will think about it later. And then you keep scratching your head after half an hour. यार कुछ सोचा था. It happens or not?
Yes.
Yeah.
Very
And then sometimes, you know, suddenly we face a problem. That day I thought about something that would have been very ideal for this. And then the whole day is spoiled because we can't remember what we thought about. But if you have this post-it note, small, just 2 words or something, you scribble and put it. What happens is, you know, it will act as a trigger for you to recall that idea and retrieve it from your mind.
how does the, sorry, the one little question, it may be relevant or
Yeah,
not, I don't-
please, please.
how does design thing helps in handle the impatient customer? Because in India, everybody runs when there is a fire. 90% of people comes to you when there is a fire. अब मैं मेरे यहाँ पे इनकम टैक्स का रेट पड़ गया, मैं राजू जी के पास क्या है क्योंकि वो सीए है. अब यार पे रेट पड़ गया, क्या करूँ क्या? अभी कभी बताओ करूँ क्या? See, the 90% of the people like this that अभी कभी क्या solution है?
अभी कभी एक ही चीज कर सकते हैं. रेट पड़ गई है, अभी के अभी immediately if you want to do one thing, what you should do is order for a cup of tea, sit down and drink it calmly. रेट तो पड़ गई, अब करोगे क्या? You see, during the raid, the more you react, the more ideas you are giving to the people who are raiding you.
In most of the cases,
चुपचाप
the customers
बैठो.
like this.
You see, they are earning a salary. Let them worry about what they have to find in your house. Why should you worry about it? See, whatever is there, they are going to find. They cannot find anything which is not there.
Right, sir.
That's all. And whatever you have to do, you can do only after the raid is over. You see, when is the time you should have ensured that you don't get into trouble?
I have one question.
No, just a minute. When is the time, Bhaveshji, when you should have ensured that you don't get into trouble?
When there is no trouble.
When there is no raid.
And no trouble, rather.
Yeah, when there is no trouble, you should have done it. But if you have not done it, now worrying about it is of no use.
No, the relevant item means the question is 90% of the people in most of the cases, or not 90%, percentage may be different, but they come to the consultant or they come for the solution then when there is a fire behind it.
Yes.
And they want a solution.
That is why consultants are there.
Yes, and then they want the solution immediately. What should be the first approach? Feed the hungry first?
No. There is nothing called immediately. Nothing works immediately. If you do anything impulsively, there is a big saying, when you do something in haste, you repent at leisure. Don't do anything in haste. The world is not going to collapse overnight.
That's
if a problem comes, understand the problem properly. Understanding the problem is creating the design challenge and the design brief. For that, you not only need to understand, the problem from the angle of the person who is bringing it to you. You have to understand it from the angle of the person who is going to handle the solution. You have to understand it from the angle of the person who is going to sponsor the solution. That means the person who brings the problem to you need not necessarily be the person who is going to handle it or the person who is going to sponsor it. It could be a middle management level person, a top management person, in which case the board and the stakeholders also you have to understand what they want as a solution. And who are the people who are going to be handling the solution? That also you have to understand. So, rushing and doing something will only postpone the problem into a bigger problem at a later date. And what will happen? They will say, yeah, I went to this person and he could not give me a solution. He has spoiled it further. So don't do that. Take your time. Explain to them that why you have waited for so long. Wait for some more time. Let us work at the solution in a proper way. And see to it that what you get is something which will be answering all your needs. We have seen that in their viability, hypothesis, the solution should be acceptable to the customer at the price at which he can afford. It should be creatable by the corporate at a price at which it can create and make profits. Third thing is, it should be possible to create the solution in a scalable manner so that, it will be a viable commercial venture. And finally, it is something you should be able to create something which cannot be copied by your customer and made into a commodity within a very short period of time. All these four aspects your solution should reply to. So, you have to be very clear in your mind that you are not going to be rushed by anybody. That's why I said, that for a design thinker, money is not important. That is, money is for us, the design thinkers. We don't concentrate on that. We concentrate on the customer for whom the solution is important. That is why design thinking is a customer-centric solution model. The more you don't give importance to yourself, the more importance you give to the customer. Believe me, Bhavesh ji, over a period of time, people will queue up to take your service.
Understood, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, boss. Can we break for the night? Tomorrow evening, our DMT class is there.
Surely, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you
thank
so
you.
much, Arun sir. Thank you so
Pushpa
much.
ji. Thanks a lot.
Thank
I am
you.
definitely going
Thank
to
you,
keep
sir.
in touch with you because mine is a different sector altogether. I'm surely going to need more help from you, more support from you in applying this.
Thank you, Arun sir. Thank you, participants. Some of them are having a life experience even of my age. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you
Thanks a
all.
lot. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Good night. Good night,
Good
all
night.
of you. Good night.